Ho, ho, ho.
Who's this Santa? He's scaring my kid.
Welcome to a review of the most gruesome movie I have ever seen. And I don't think that's a lie. That's the craziest part. I wasn't exactly sure how Damien Leone could possibly up the ante for this one. I've made videos on the first two Terrifier movies. If you haven't seen those, go check them out first and then come back to this one. I wasn't sure exactly how it was possible for Damien Leone to up the ante, but oh boy, I think he accomplished it.
Right through the boobies.
When the trailer for this movie came out, I reacted to it on my second channel and said something along the lines of, please tell me he doesn't kill any children in this.
I told you to stay out of my room.
The first thing that Art the Clown does in Terrifier 3 is chop up a little kid with an axe. Well, at least they don't show it. They show it.
Oh, they did show
Oh,
it.
shit.
Before we get into the plot of this movie, I want to mention how absolutely insane Terrifier has become as a franchise over the years. This movie was so hyped, it made more money than the second movie within the first weekend of its release. Granted, this is a Christmas-themed movie releasing in October, so that's kind of crazy. It's no longer a question of if Art the Clown will become a classic thrasher villain, because he is one. I would even go so far as to put him alongside big names like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. They even put him in Call of Duty, for fuck's sake. It's only a matter of time until he's in Fortnite. This movie was so hyped, the makeup artist, John Caglione Jr., the same man who worked on Heath Ledger's Joker, reached out to Damien Leone because he wanted to work on this movie, and he did. According to Damien Leone, several big studios showed interest in financing the third movie, but he knew that if he accepted, then he'd never be able to make the movie that he wanted to make. His unique and uncompromising and exquisitely brutal take on horror is only possible because he finances his movies. And I honestly think it's admirable that he didn't succumb to the money and decide that his vision was most important. 100% this movie would have turned out worse if a studio was backing it, because then you have all these studio heads breathing down your neck, telling you what they want and don't want in the movie. It would have just made the movie worse. So why do people watch Terrifier movies? What's the main draw? It's the kills. So how are the kills in this movie? They're fucking batshit insane, okay? I mean, what did you expect?
Oh, God. Oh, holy shit.
I haven't seen a single movie in my life that has more insane kills than in these movies. And somehow, Damien Leone managed to make them even more insane in this movie. If he's planning on making a fourth one, which seems like it will probably happen based on the ending to this movie, I can't even imagine how they can make it worse than this, but hey, where there's a will, there's a way, I suppose. Like with the previous movies, I sat my wife down like a loving husband and recorded us watching this one together. I'm surprised that she's still with me at this point.
I bet she's gearing up to kill him or something.
After watching this, I gotta hand it to Damien Leone. This is the best one by far. I don't think it's perfect. The main issue I had with the second movie, the glacial pacing, has been addressed in this movie. Terrifier 3 is 2 hours and 17 minutes long, which is only 1 minute less than the second movie. But it doesn't drag nearly as bad as the second one. I don't think this movie is as funny as the previous movie, but Art did manage to make me laugh here and there in this one as well.
Yes, clear out of here.
His face.
This movie is silly, it's over the top, it's horrifying. It's everything you would expect going into it, and more. The only thing I wasn't a huge fan of was the story. It felt a bit paper thin, like it was an afterthought. Of course, the most important thing about a Terrifier film are the satisfying kills, and in that category, they definitely deliver, maybe over-deliver, but I really didn't care all that much about the people who were dying in this movie. I'm just saying I would have liked a little bit more from the story. Lauren Lavera reprises her role as Sienna, and Elliot Fulham is also back as Jonathan. You know, the poor victim from the first movie with the mangled face? She plays a pretty big part in this one. But the little pale girl isn't in this movie, which is kind of weird, but I'll address that at the end. The story is extremely simple. Art the Clown returns with Victoria as a sidekick. They go around and kill people. Eventually they run into Sienna again, and she kind of puts a stop to them, but not really. And then the movie ends. There's really not a lot of meat to this story. David Howard Thornton returns as Art the Clown, and he's just as good in this one, if not better. According to the media outlet Lad Bible, the first official screening for the film had 9 confirmed walkouts by the end of the opening scene. I can't think of a single movie with a crazier opening scene.
Oh.
Oh.
Damien Leone definitely tests the audience right off the bat. To use an analogy, instead of jumping straight into the deep end of the pool, this movie is like starting at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And they're like, hey, if you can handle this, then you're in for a good time.
At least the little girl survived.
Oh.
No!
The movie starts with a family late at night several days before Christmas. Their daughter complains that she heard someone walking on the roof.
It was Santa. I'm positive.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the?
Later, Art enters dressed up as Santa, and the girl hides and notices him take out an axe from his bag of toys.
Maybe she just wanted an axe for Christmas.
Art walks upstairs, not silently, by the way. The mom, who's probably still awake at this point, could probably hear him walking up the stairs with those big-ass boots. This brings me back to Evil Boots from the open house. And she would probably hear her son getting chopped to bits with an axe. But maybe not. Personally, it takes me a bit to fall asleep, but my wife can pass out in an instant. So I guess everyone's different. Turns out the mother passed out very quickly after putting those cookies and milk out for the elves earlier. Yeah, the daughter convinced the mother to put out milk and cookies for the elves, who I guess go house to house before Christmas to make sure the kids have been good this year. This kid must have been stealing the other kids' lunch money because, I mean, in order to deserve what he got.
The first thing he does is kill a little kid with an axe. Holy shit.
This poor woman wakes up to Art chopping her husband to bits in the bed right next to her. She tries to rush away, and there's a little nod to The Shining during this scene.
Here's Johnny.
Art ends up chopping her down near the front door, and then he kills her. He does this thing where he like aims for her arm, and she's like, oh my God, where is it gonna hit me next? I don't know, it's pretty silly. This actress's bloody murder screams are amazing, by the way. Just perfect. Infuriatingly, Art then finds the little girl hiding in a cabinet and waves at her as she stares back helplessly. So we can all conclude that he definitely kills her as well. Quite the introductory scene. To say this movie comes out swinging is a bit of an understatement. And the sound effects for the axe strikes are so meaty and chunky. The blood and gore is gratuitous like you'd imagine. And trust me, it only gets worse from here. Not in a bad way, but definitely in a bad way, if you get my meaning.
What the?
The movie then brings us back 5 years. You might be wondering how Art survived since he was decapitated in the last movie. Well, you should probably know by now that Art can't die, at least not in a way that we're aware of yet. So we get to watch how his body reunites with his head. In the meantime, though, he just borrows a cop's head.
He clearly got his head back.
Oh, that guy's head.
This poor cop was unfortunate enough to be the one to come across Art's body.
Why you little?
Remember Victoria Hayes from the first movie? Well, this is what she looks like now.
Brother,
She isn't looking her best. In this movie, she's possessed by the demon or the entity that is Art the Clown. She is seen helping Art's head sustain itself, or something like that, I'm not sure. Her body is being used as a conduit for his or something. Art's head is feasting on the head of a dead nurse. More specifically, this nurse from the post-credit scene from the second movie. And the meat is going through this esophagus thing into Victoria's mouth. Art is like baby birding Victoria because the entity that's in Victoria is Art the Clown or something. I guess the demonic force within Victoria is like keeping the head alive. I don't know. Not sure where they got that spare esophagus meat tube thing from. Maybe it's Victoria's intestines. I think she tore them out of herself during that post-credit scene. So maybe she's just using that. She like plugged Art's head in. So do you know Chris Jericho, the wrestler? Well, he's in this movie. You just made the list! He plays the security guard who discovers Vicky and Art's head. And his reaction to them is so silly. It's not all that believable, to be honest. So then Vicky starts strangling him, and somehow he isn't able to overpower her. Maybe the demonic presence put the strength of 1,000 demons in her or something. Who knows? Art's body shows up, and what's that? Chris Jericho's head is made of cake. Well, it must be. How else will they be able to pull it apart so easily?
How is she so easily just ripping his face?
I know.
Seriously, Art's body just walks up and starts picking apart his skull.
Is it cake?
He must have the softest skull known to man. It's like a little baby skull, you know, very malleable. Just squeeze a little bit, it'll come right off. Next, we see Victoria and Art on the subway, and they meet an Art the Clown cosplayer, and it's pretty funny and random.
You guys, you look so good.
They hint to us that they kill this guy, but they never show it. Perhaps this scene is used to tell the audience that Art the Clown is becoming somewhat of a celebrity, because later there's this annoying girl named Mia who's like obsessed with him. She has this true crime podcast where she talks about him.
Talk to him.
Victoria and Art find themselves in an abandoned building where they decide to hibernate. Victoria has a pretty hilarious line in front of a mirror. You used to be so hot. Now nobody's gonna fuck you. Now no one's gonna fuck you. 5 years later, we meet Sienna's uncle, Greg.
What's up, Greg?
Who looks like he could be her brother by their age difference. She's there to visit her extended family. When they get to his place, Greg says, "Don't pull her arm out," when his daughter tugs Sienna upstairs. You would think this would be foreshadowing Sienna's arm being pulled off later, but that never happens. So, kind of weird. Two workers enter the dilapidated home and they find Art and Vicky. Art is covered in cobwebs. I guess the demonic presence fucked off for a while. It had to go recharge its battery or something. When I watched this part in the trailer, I could have sworn this part was paying homage to the nun, because from a certain angle, Art kind of looks like the evil nun from the Nun movies. It kind of looks like he's wearing a nun's headdress, but he's not. Sadly, I think he would make a very cute nun. But the window Art is sitting by when he's in this rocking chair is the same shape as the famous Amityville window. Anyway, they both wake up. Vicky kills one of the men pretty quickly, and the other man is toyed with by Art. This part is kind of weird because when we first see them, Art is covered in cobwebs, and Vicky is filthy, just covered in dried blood and dirt and probably poop too. But in the next shot, they're both a lot cleaner. As Art is torturing this man, Vicky is turned on by it, so she gives herself a demon period, so to speak, by using a piece of broken glass as a dildo.
Ew, what the hell?
This is the same piece of broken glass that she slit her wrists with when she initially entered the tub before they hibernated. She was like killing herself or something, but she can't die. I don't know, maybe she did it for pleasure. It was very random. Very random. Art uses a box cutter to literally deface this guy. It's pretty crazy.
Good lord.
We get to experience Sienna's guilt firsthand through a vision she has of her dead best friend at the dinner table. She just wants some rice, dude. Just pass her some rice. What's the big deal? Sienna's brother, Jonathan, is in college now, and he gets harassed by this girl named Mia. She wants the inside scoop on Art the Clown. She's obsessed with him. He's so cute. We then see Art create a liquid nitrogen sprayer thing. He uses it on a rat, and he forces them to cannibalize each other for fun. You know what every girl finds super hot? An old man dressed up as Santa.
Oh, yeah.
It really gets them going. At least that's what these gentlemen at this bar would have you believe. Is it true? Do women like Santa Claus? Give me the lowdown on that, ladies. Do you think Santa's a cutie? Art the Clown enters this bar after the girls leave. These two girls don't know how lucky they are that they left at that exact moment. So this, of course, is where Art gets his Santa gear.
It's Clowny Claus.
This guy dressed up as Santa Claus humors Art for a little bit. The bartender asks Art for an ID. So Art gives him the wallet from one of the men that he killed earlier. The bartender doesn't really believe that it's him.
Maurice Jackson?
And Art's expression and reaction to this bartender is so funny. Art sits on this Santa's lap, you know, as you do, as a grown-ass man. And then he pisses himself.
What the fuck are you doing?
I didn't think Art could pee. Did he ever pee in the other movies? I don't remember. So he has like a human body, like with human organs and everything. He needs to drink and eat like people do, or he just has those functions. He can piss, but he doesn't need to drink. How does it work? These are questions I need answering. I didn't think Art the Clown had a body that needed to piss, but I guess he does. Normally, Art the Clown uses melee weapons to kill people, but during this scene, he just pulls out a fucking Glock and shoots the guys.
I'm not gonna tell you again.
Don't shoot me, Santa Claus. I've been a clean living boy, I promise you. Art decides that Santa deserves a different fate. The smile he gives Santa is so creepy. If it were me and I was face to face with Art the Clown, I would happily take the bullet, let's just be honest. Who wouldn't? Especially compared to what he does to poor old Santa here. So remember that liquid nitrogen sprayer? Well, he uses it to freeze Santa bit by bit and break him apart bit by bit. It's more fun to break someone apart when they're frozen solid.
I wonder if it would hurt if you just go numb. Oh God.
Eventually he sprays Santa's face and then rips his beard skin off and then wears the beard because that's what he was missing, a beard. He had to use it to complete his look. This Santa isn't really looking like Santa Claus anymore, so Art gives him a new look by taking a carrot and shoving it into his face. Hey look, he's a snowman. At least we can be thankful that Art the Clown goes the rest of this movie without killing any more children. In the next scene, we're at a mall with a bunch of children.
Santa's handing out presents!
No! The mall Santa needs to take a break, so who takes his seat in the meantime? It's our boy, Art the Clown. He's just trying out this new gig, you know. So he takes the Santa throne, and he beckons the kids over and gives them gifts. This Art the Clown guy, he ain't too bad. I mean, look at him. He's handing out gifts. There's smiles everywhere. Somehow none of these kids are freaked out by the fact that he's super creepy looking, that he's this weird clown guy in Santa gear with blood all over his hands and a crusty skin beard thing. The kids don't notice that. They're stupid. They're kids.
Why would any parent let their child sit on this guy's lap?
I know.
God, they don't.
Later, a security guy comes around and he kicks out Art. And the faces Art gives this guy are so funny. At first, he's like, look, I'm Santa Claus. See, I'm sitting where I'm supposed to be sitting. The guy kicks him out, so then Art sticks his tongue out at the guy. See, like I said, this scene is fine. No kids die. One of the gifts is a bomb and it detonates, killing all the kids. At least it was quick. So remember the annoying girl Mia, the obnoxious true crime podcaster girl? She meets Sienna at the mall and she begs her for the inside scoop. She wants to know more about her life and how she's coping with all the awful stuff that's happened to her. It's obviously out of line, but don't worry, this girl will get hers. At one point, Mia mentions that the 5-year anniversary of the original massacre is approaching, but that took place on Halloween. So unless she's just mistaken, she's 2 months off.
I do know the 5-year anniversary is coming up.
You are made of stupid.
At 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 36 seconds into this movie, Art the Clown makes a perfect thumbnail face. Thanks, Art. One of the funniest parts in the movie is when Art walks past a room where Mia is talking with her boyfriend. She's discussing Art the Clown. She says she wonders what he smells like, so Art smells his armpits because, you know, maybe he doesn't know. Her boyfriend says, you sound like you want to fuck him. And she says, I don't want to fuck him. And Art's reaction to this is so funny.
I don't want to fuck him.
She says she wants to know what it's like to look into his eyes, and she gets her wish during this next scene. Holy shit. I feel like even just describing the scene is gonna get me demonetized. Like, I'm just screwed with this video, you know? There's no possible way I can get something like this monetized. So yeah, we get the infamous shower scene. This scene is incredibly visceral and gruesome. Apparently this scene leaked on YouTube, kind of ruining the movie for some people, so that sucks. This is the craziest slasher scene I've ever seen. Definitely one of the craziest. It starts with Mia and her boyfriend making love in a shower. Art is nearby taking a piss because he can do that and needs to do that, I guess. You can kind of think of this scene as the iconic shower scene from Psycho, but amped up by a billion. Art uses a chainsaw and uses it to kill them both, but it isn't a quick kill by any means. There's a struggle at first. Art manages to cut off bits and pieces of them.
Oh.
The boyfriend manages to get out of the shower, but not before Art slashes his leg. He tries walking on it, but it just snaps in half.
I'm going to throw up.
Art then gets to work carving up Mia. He starts with her tits. He carves her up real good. Afterwards, he puts his cute little Christmas tree glasses on her and boops her nose before sawing her in half. He shrugs after he's done like, good enough. He then turns his attention to the boyfriend on the floor. He rips his leg off and then smells the foot and ew, it's stinky and gross. So he throws it away. He kills this guy by jamming the chainsaw up his asshole.
Oh my God, are you
I burst out laughing because of the angle it's filmed, and I was just not expecting it at all. He saws this poor dude's dick in half, and we get a great view of it happening. Afterwards, he makes a blood angel. You know, like a snow angel, but in blood. This movie does offer some flashbacks and gives us a bit of a background on Sienna's relationship with her comic book artist father, how he drew a woman hero based after her, and how she's meant to fulfill that role later on in life to defeat Art. It's kind of cute. The final confrontation in this movie seems to come out of nowhere. There's hardly any build up to it. Sienna thinks she's overhearing her uncle and aunt talking shit about her downstairs, when it's really Victoria using their voices to taunt her. It's revealed that her uncle has already been killed, and Art hung him up like Jesus on the wall and wrote ho 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 in his blood, and he even gave him a cute little blood head. Now I know why he got his name, Art. He's an artist. Vicky is wearing a crown of thorns because lol Jesus or something, and later she puts it on Sienna. Art isn't too pleased with Sienna since she decapitated him in the last movie, so he bonks her with a King DDD hammer. She wakes up tied to a chair. Art wraps the tree with Greg's intestines like it's tinsel, but the star of this scene really is Greg, literally. Sienna's aunt Jessica is tied up as well. And before being killed, Jessica tells Sienna to kill them both and make them suffer. Bitch, how? Sienna's tied up just like you are. What's she gonna do? They trick Jessica into believing that the skull between them in a cage is her daughter Gabby's skull, but it isn't. The way they killed Jessica was said to have made David Howard Thornton, the actor who plays Art the Clown, nauseous and sick to his stomach. Basically, they shove this tube down her throat. Art hammers it in place, you know, for good measure, don't want it getting loose, and then feed rats into it and use a blowtorch to make them dig downward.
One's not enough.
So like I said earlier, Vicky crowns Sienna the new Jesus of the room or something. Very nice of her, but it's thorny so it hurts. Oh God. Oh, surprise, surprise, the skull isn't Gabby's. It's actually Sienna's brother Jonathan's. They killed him off screen at some point. That's what they tell us anyway. They might be lying again. Vicky, or the demon entity, then tries to possess Sienna, but Sienna is too strong and doesn't give in. She still has a reason to live, and that's Gabby. Vicky says, "Now I know why they chose you." Who is she referring to? The comic book gods?
Don't make me come down there, you punk.
This next part is kind of weird. Before Art kills Gabby, they decide to let Sienna open the gift that she got for her first. Kind of weird they allow this to happen. But then again, Art is a nice guy. He does some strange, kind things in these movies. Like when he brought Sienna's purse to her in the last movie, or giving these little kids presents. Deep down, Art's a good guy. He just has a killing fetish. Art does smash her hands to bits before allowing her to open the gift though. Inside is her sword from the second movie, and she uses it to fight back. She has very little trouble killing Vicky. She kills her in an instant, and she doesn't immediately go after Art. Instead, she kind of sits around and hugs Gabby. She does slice Art in the neck immediately after getting the sword, but then kind of ignores him for a little bit. This gives him enough time to get a chainsaw, so maybe she shouldn't have ignored him, you know, make sure the threat is, you know, down for good. Anyway, so they have a little duel. During this scene, Art uses a wrestling move on her, and hilariously, he shoves her face into Greg's open stomach before choking her with Greg's intestines. She bites them apart to free herself.
What do we do?
Do what we do, best Scoob.
Sienna stabs Art through the gut, and he kind of just stands there and decides not to use his arms. He has weapons in his hands, but he doesn't fight back after he's stabbed. Maybe there's something magical about this sword that paralyzes him or something with its power. I don't know. That's why his eyes are that color after she stabs him. I'm not sure what's going on here. The spot where Vicky was killed opens a hole into hell and swallows her down. Gabby is nearby and she falls in. She's holding on for dear life. Sienna tries to save her by using her sword. Like, she picks up the sword and she's like, grab on! But she's holding on to the blade part of the sword. Huh? You don't have a lot of grip when you're holding the blade of a sword, so I'm not sure how she expected to lift Gabby with the sword. Like, there's this wicker table thing right behind Sienna. She could have just turned around and used that instead. It's longer and pretty lightweight. If you've ever had a wicker cabinet or a wicker anything, they're not very heavy. And it would have been much easier to hold on to that and for Gabby to grab than this tiny sword. But anyway, she uses the sword, tries to pull Gabby up. Brother, obviously it doesn't work.
What did you think would happen?
Her hands are already messed up.
She couldn't lean down that extra, like, 6 inches the sword gave her.
The blade cuts through Sienna's hands, so Gabby and the sword fall into hell. So that's a pretty massive oof. Good Lord. What was Art the Clown doing this whole time? Because he could have just like pushed her into the hole, but instead he flees out through a window. I get that he's injured, but still. Sienna cut his head off in the last movie, and that didn't stop him. How come this one stab wound was like enough to make him freak out and run away? We learned that Sienna has superpower healing abilities by watching her hands heal instantly. Next, we see Art boarding a bus where a woman is reading the Ninth Circle, which is a nod to the first film Art was ever in, which is named The Ninth Circle. He smiles and blows his horn, and the credits roll.
What'd you think?
Speechless.
With the choir singing a Christmas carol in the background named A Terrifier Christmas. It's hilarious that a choir was hired to sing this Christmas carol because these are the lyrics. He'll melt your face with acid. He'll saw you clean in half. He'll peel the skin right off your bones and shout with a silent laugh. Apparently Frank Stallone was in talks to play Jesus in this movie, but he turned it down. I'm guessing they just took out the whole Jesus part because I don't remember Jesus in this movie at all. If you're like me, you might be wondering where the little pale girl is from the second movie. Well, she might not be in this movie, but the demonic presence or force that inhabited her in the second movie is, and it's in Vicky now. We can tell because in the second movie, the little girl's eyes glow yellow, which is very similar to how Victoria's glow in this movie. That, and because at the end of Terrifier 2, the little pale girl takes Art's head, and Victoria ends up giving birth to it. So in a way, Victoria is the little pale girl. At least that's what I took away from this. It could be wrong, I don't know. But there's definitely a connection there because of the glowing yellow eyes. Anyway, I thought this movie was pretty fun. Obviously, the violence is gratuitous, but that's by design. I think that's kind of the point. These movies are meant to be over the top. They're supposed to be as insane as possible. I think it definitely succeeds as a Terrifier movie. So bravo, Damien Leone and the crew. I thought it was a pretty good time. Let me know what you guys thought of this in the comment section down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Merry Christmas and goodbye.